Another project I picked up. Paid $2,000 for it. It's supposed to run good. Blah blah blah. Supposed to have a bad starter bracket. Well, yeah, it did. It was broke. I got it out, new piece ordered. And it was a bad brake line. I got another Russell brake line, and no, this is not right, but there's a little brass T in there for the brake light switch. I notice there's no wires on it, and this wire that is here looks like it's kind of cooked. I don't know where that's going. You see up in there I got the starter out, and I was trying to got the line on good, trying to bleed the brake, and it's got some kind of goofy aftermarket a Hurst Ford control brake mount, and I'm not getting anything. I took the brake line off of here. It's not pumping at all. So what I'm going to try to do, I've got a fluid transfer pump here. I'm going to try to put it on here and see if I can suck some brake fluid out of that line. I managed to get it on, but I have a feeling that this little master cylinder's probably plugged up and no good. It was supposed to be a good bike, run good, blah blah blah, who knows. Supposed to charge, everything, you know, was great. But I'm looking here, I see some stuff on the tank not hooked up. Rusty push rod covers here. I think they're supposed to be painted black. He said he pulled it with a car and started it and drove it home. But whether he did or not, I don't know. I'm sort of losing faith in the whole thing here. Every time I look at something that's missing, a carburetor missing an air cleaner, he said he had one of those. So anyway, the guy left all his tools here, broke his leg. So I'm thinking that I don't know what I'm thinking, but anyway, I'm just gonna try to see if I can get this master cylinder to pump a little fluid out of it. Well, I got it apart. I don't know if you can see there, but I ran a clean rag down in it. It was sticking all the way out. I had to use the air in the end to blow it out. I've got my little pieces all laid out there. They're clean. Forgive my dirty bench, but I'll put it back together. And I was right, there is a big spring that goes in it. And I'll try to put this thing back together and see if it'll pump. Hell of a time getting that rubber boot in there. So I'm going to try this. I put it in a socket. And I don't know if my socket's going to fit. But I should be able to. Oh yeah, there we go. Now I should be able to push something down in that socket and get that boot in. I'll try it one-handed just for the fun of it. Something went. No, it's crooked. That didn't work out too well. I keep trying. I'm moving forward on this old piece of crap soft tail. I got new gaskets or seals for the starter shaft. Ordered 2 of them. Turned out it was 2 pack of 5. And looking in here trying to figure out how these seals go. There's a seal back there on the other side, and it looks like there's one goes in here. But the fun part is this engagement thing here. It's trashed. It's supposed to have, it's got 2 arms on it that go into this slot here. Engages it, and those arms are broken in there. Of course, my bulb's not all that good. There we go. It's broke loose. There's a pin that goes through it that actually holds the pivot. Looks like the only way to get to that is by taking off that oil tank. I already know by experience that that's a bitch. And looking here at the primary cover, it looks like it was cracked. Somebody siliconed it. See a break in it, but obviously something's wrong if they tried to silicone it up. So it was leaking oil. Not too happy with the guy that sold it to me. You know, he said that he had it a long time, and he wasn't very straightforward with the problems. I've got 2 bolts here on this clutch. I don't think that's right. I think they ought to be a lot more than that on it. Can't really tell if this is threaded. Something don't look right there. Like I say, I'm not a Harley mechanic, don't have a manual for this thing. And there was another inner primary cover that was come along with the deal, but I'm not really too enthused about breaking all this stuff off of here and putting it back on. It looks like I might have to pull that tank to get to this screwed up solenoid engagement. I can see 1 bolt in it. Maybe I can get the solenoid out and weld that place in here that's broke. Weld that arm together. I don't know, but I'm going to try to do it. Like I said, I'm not too happy about the communication. The guy, you know, oh yeah, it just needs a bracket on the outside. Yeah, bracket on the outside, starter housing, new starter. It's got a new solenoid. Well, didn't tell me about all this junk that's on the inside, so yeah. Buyer beware, I suppose. I hope the paperwork's good on it. Anyway, I'm going to try to get this solenoid off of here and see if I can do something about fixing this. There's a couple bolts. Apparently this is torn up boot. Torn up boot here went around this solenoid, and looks pretty straightforward. What I've got here on this is this slides up back and forth inside that solenoid there. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with this. Looks like it's got one pin, a short pin here that keeps that on. It's this long pin is apparently going into the keeping this whole mess together. Can't really see what's happening here on the back. Looks like there might be some kind of a keeper there. So anyway, in order to do this, I got to get this spring, all this stuff off of the solenoid shaft. You can see back in there where it's broken. Looked like it was pressed on and that was it. So I got to get this spring and this junk off of here and try to get that arm back on there and weld it. Anyway, so this spring and stuff's got to come apart. I'll try to figure out how to do that. I'll bring it back when I do. Squished up here. It looks like there's a little pin here in the end that's holding all the spring stuff together. So I got to take it out. Ooh, it moved right there. I might be able to just pull it out. Boy, couldn't be this lucky. Look at that. Pin come right out. Ta-da! I didn't expect that. So all this should come apart now, which it did. My little solenoid deal. And it looks like I lost a couple pieces down in here. I see them right there. Get my little pliers in here. Hope you guys can see what I'm doing. There's a spring. I'll put the camera down a second. Alright. Got the little spring out. And it looks like a little washer guy. Had a piece of wire here. Maybe I can get a pair of needle nose in there. Nope. So I'll dig up some wire and I'll bring it back when I get that little washer dug out. It looks like this little pin is just big enough to fit inside that hole. So that holds that all together. And now we can see where this is broke. It's been chewed up. Looks like it's been messed up for a long time. But I think I can squish it together there. And get these lined up. And I can reach in there with a welder and weld that pretty good. Probably stronger than it was originally. And not have to take this whole primary cover off. Probably not the recommended way to do it, but that's why I am going to do it. Let's see if I can get that pressed up on there somehow. I've been there pretty good. It's not flush. I'll probably have to put a couple little wedges or something in there to hold it straight instead of these pliers. And you can see the bolts are not straight, or the engagement pins. And it's obviously pretty beat up. So once I get it welded, first I'll get this plate here flush on the shaft, and then whatever's left I'll bend that engagement fork into where it'll fit here on the groove. So I'll bring it back when I get it set up ready to weld. Well, after a little more work, there was a bolt in the bottom of this thing and a little lock tab on it, and I got this whole piece out of here, and so I can weld it good now. See what we got here and weld it up, and then I'll try to get it back in. Weld it up pretty good. I just tacked the good side, and I welded the bad side pretty decently. I'm sure the pin still goes in it. Yeah. So this is obviously bent. It's got to go around this, so I'm going to do a little tweaking here with it in the vise. Try to get it straightened out in parallel, and I think this will probably work now. I'll bring it back when I got it straight. Now I got it straightened out, and I got it about 20 thousandths or so clearance here. It's not real straight, but I got it mostly parallel, and I wouldn't think that there's going to be a hell of a lot of pressure on it. It's just engaging that gear. And it's soft metal. It's not really spring steel or anything, so it don't look right, but the pins are pretty much parallel and straight, so I think it'll be good enough for fixing this. If it don't work, I'll just have to buy another one. Now, I'm not sure how this is supposed to go, but I got the seal in and the lip pointed to the outside, and I managed to get this thing in. I was just assuming that this might not want to go once you if I put this in first, it probably wouldn't match up, but it looks like it goes in good, and I'll try to get my little pin up in there. Like I said, I don't really know the sequence to doing this, but I'm just kind of plunking along here trying to get it right. Got it. Switch hands here, and it's actually moving up and down on the pin, and it's coming out and engaging the flywheel. The back of the shaft, obviously that's got something to do with the starter. There's a gear and some other stuff goes on it. It looks like my little arm might be hitting that throwout bearing. Not really a throwout bearing, but once I get it all together, I can probably bend that little thing, get it away from there. I did, but something's wrong, because it's a lot of gap here and not much back here in the back, so it's in crooked for some reason, and I can't. It's really not. It's not moving here when I pry on it. The gear and stuff is not holding it. It's pretty loose. So something's wrong. I thought maybe these brackets were bent. Maybe I don't have it in the hole right. I'm not sure. But this solenoid's really not moving. It looks like it's kind of loose. Something's wrong. Got to be here in this mount. It's really kind of a bitch to try to get this back bottom bolt back here. I'm afraid I'm going to drop it. Anyway, I'll loosen it up and see if I can't see what it's binding on here, but a little better like that. I did get the starter in, and I got this gear where it engages and comes back out. Right now it's got, when I had the starter tightened up, this drive gear was contacting this ring gear, and piece of the old starter, I bought a new gasket I thought was for it. It was this thing here. It's nowhere near right, and a piece of the old gasket came out is this, and that's about 1/4 of an inch thick, I guess. So I loosened this. I only got one bolt in the starter right now, and it turns over. but I think it's got to be spaced out away from that primary case about 1/4 of an inch. That's what I'm guessing from this thing here. So from this gasket here. Anyway, so I'm going to pull it out and see if I can make a gasket for it about 1/4 of an inch thick. I don't know what I'll make it out of. I don't have anything gasket material like that. I don't know what it is even. It's pretty tough. It's not cork. So anyway, that's what I'll do. Looks like when I got the starter in and the seals, it was okay and it's turning, but it just has to be spaced away from that primary case. I'll see what I can make there before my battery dies, hopefully. Well, I'm pressing on with Mr. Harley. I pulled the battery out. I thought I was going to have to take that shaft in and out 2 or 3 times. I was going to pull the oil tank, but I didn't have to. I could see in it. I've got plenty of room here from that spacer I made. And I'm playing around with the solenoid here. One of them was a little strip, so I got some new grade 8 bolts. When you bolt it down with the spacer, it wants to cock it. So I found that this little rubber spacer was in there. I'm going to put solid washers in it. Looks like 2 of them. 2 little washers here is about the right size. And the solenoid is moving. This gear is nice and even. And it does move around a little, but it's in the starter right. And it's got to go into this bearing here in the cover. So I think I got it right. I'm not gonna, I did try the starter and held this in and it's turning okay. It's making a little noise, but I think that's probably because it's flopping around in there. So I'm gonna continue working on the solenoid here and get it bolted up square and put it back together. Hopefully this thing will be right this time. Both top and bottom, and my solenoid is moving here pretty freely. Now I got to put this little spring and the little cap and keeper on it with that little roll pin in there. I think I had the spring on wrong before, but pretty sure that it goes on like this, and that spring should hold a roll pin into the lip on this thing. It's real loose, it just wants to fall out. But hopefully that spring will hold it in there. Anyway, that's what it looks like it was designed to do. Now just to get it done. Put the cover on it, bolted it down. Right now I've got just a little play. But it wouldn't disengage. As far as I can tell, this little arm and everything is actually pressing on the gear. It's got it back as far as it'll go. it seems to be pretty solid right there. I don't know if it's hitting the case, but I think it's hitting the starter, a stop on the starter shaft. And there was an 1/8 of an inch spacer between the starter and the case. And it was locked up with no gasket on it. The solenoid it's got enough spring to return it, but I think when it goes to wherever it is centered here in the derby cover, there's just a little bit of tooth hanging there. You can hear it hitting. So I'm gonna pull that starter out again and make me another one of those fiberglass gaskets. I've got it cut out. I just need to trim it up so it'll fit in there, and hopefully 2/16. I'm guessing they're about a 1/16 of an inch. Enough to will be enough to free this thing up. Wouldn't turn over with the wires I had, so I pulled the plugs out. It turns over pretty good. So I think we're okay there. Plugs didn't look too bad. Well, actually they do. The front one's black. Looks like it was running pretty good at one point in time. And of course this back one's oily. So, who knows? I'm sure that carburetor's messed up too. We'll see. Anyway, I've got me another 3/4 inch master cylinder, and look like the bolt holes and everything are right, so I can replace this old master cylinder here that I couldn't get back together with this one. This one comes out of the front, this one comes out of the side, so I'll have to play around with the hoses. Anyway, brakes will be coming along. Do me no good if I can't get it to run. I pulled that starter motor out again, and I changed the bearing in it. The housing that I got had a different parts number on it. I measured them with a micrometer. They look to be about the same, but I've got this in and snug, and it looks like I got about a 1/16 of an inch here clearance between this gear and the main thing. And solenoid is working. It might be that this little bracket that I see it in there, it might be bent bad and forcing that gear out a little bit, but the gear's in pretty solid. Everything's good, and it looks like I've got enough travel on this gear to gauge the flywheel. Gauging is not my problem, it's releasing that's giving me the hassle. So anyway, I'm gonna throw this derby cover back on here. Well, actually it's a primary cover. Derby's a little thing. And put some bolts in it and That'll hold this in alignment, and I'll see if the starter is turning free again. Well, I got it back on and it's bolted in. The starter's not real tight, but it's snug. And I've got this jumper here running over to the starter itself, so this should just turn the starter. Still got to grind. But it's not engaging. I guess the next thing would be to try to jump the solenoid, see if it's going to engage. Doesn't seem to be solenoiding. I don't know if that moved it. Don't think it did. It might only engage when when the starter's turning. I'll have to get me another jumper wire and see how that works. I tried that. Solenoid's not solenoiding. So I'm going to pull this cover off of here and see if I can figure out what went wrong with that. Good luck with that. The solenoid here is I'll show you. It's drawing current. And if I push it in, it will lock. And it snaps out all right, but it's just not it's not got enough pull to pull that thing in there. I thought it might be these two washers. It's too far away, but I don't think so. I think it's he said it was a new one, but you know, that could have been new 10 years ago. So I did find this little bracket in here and a rubber boot on eBay. So the starter itself is doing fine. It's not rattling too bad. It's moving around a little, but when the solenoid disengages, it snaps back, so I'm not engaged into the flywheel. So I did something right there, but now the solenoid's not working. I'll just buy some more parts and throw in it, see what happens. I'll bring it back in about 3 or 4 days. I might as well take off this old bad master cylinder and see what I can do about putting this one on. Well, first problem shows up, don't have the right bolts, but I did manage to get some in it just to hold it. The next one was this plunger arm was too long, so I cut it off, but it looks like it's working now. We're gonna put a little fluid in it and see if I can get it to pump, and everything all hooked up. Don't look like I got any leaks, but I heard a bang out of the rear caliper, kind of like metal to metal. Went on okay. The master cylinder's good. It's a 3/4 inch cylinder, so should move plenty of fluid. So that's it for today. Need starter parts, need brake parts.